welcome to episode 35 of the Catherine Crochets podcast. Hi everyone, how are you all? I hope you've had a good couple of weeks since my last podcast. My name is Catherine, if you've not watched before, and I'm a crochet designer from South London in the UK. It is very wet and grey here today in London. It's absolutely pouring down. So I put the light on in here. I hope it's not messing up the filming too much. I normally try to film in natural light, but it was just way too dark. So hopefully it's still looking okay and all the projects will turn up okay. Had quite a productive couple of weeks since my last podcast, and I wanted to keep going with the podcasting a bit more regularly than previously, hopefully get a bit more into the flow of it. So I've got 2 crochet projects to share with you today and 2 knitting projects, and they're not exactly what I said I'd work on because I seem to be just attracting new projects at the moment and finding it hard to say no. So I think I'm quite close to getting to that tipping point of feeling overwhelmed with projects. So I'm trying to sort of not tone things down, but hold off a bit on starting too many more new ones. Otherwise I'm just going to have way too many things on the go and it'll be years before I finish any of them. But I have got 2 finished items. It's the same pattern, and I'll start with those, and I'm wearing one of them. I showed this to you in the last episode and it was about half made. I think I was just over halfway, and this is a pattern test that I did for my friend Emma over at MSC Makes, and it is called the Isla Scarf Mini. And I've made this one, and I've also made a second one because it just works up super quickly. And I can hold this one a bit closer so you can see the stitch pattern in a bit more detail. So it's got this nice kind of like ridge across all the stitches. So as you can see, it's a really long, although it's called a mini scarf because it is quite small and thin, it is really long. I think it measures over 1 meter, but it's very thin. So you start obviously at one end, increase very slowly on one side. So one side's straight and then the other side has these kind of gentle increases to the middle, and then you decrease again to the other end. I have no idea if I showed you that the right way around or not. I might have done it in the other direction, but you get the idea. So this was the first one I made that I started and showed you in the last episode. And this is made, the pattern uses a 4-ply or fingering weight yarn. So I made this with Socks Yeah was the name of the yarn from Coop Knits in the colour Topaz. And then this one I made with West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in Cherry Drop, and I really like it. The pattern's now out. You can get a copy if you like. I'll pop the link to all the patterns I talk about. I'll pop the links below if you're interested. And yeah, it works up really quickly. You do need to count quite a bit just to keep track of where you are, how many rows you've done, because you don't increase. It's a very gradual increase, so you need to count your rows, make sure you get your increases in. Although to be honest, if you went slightly wrong at one point, I don't think anyone's ever going to notice if you did an increase a row early or a row late. It's probably quite forgiving in that regard. And it is surprisingly warm, although it's only very, very thin scarf. I've got it round sort of twice. It really gives you that extra bit of warmth around your neck, which is quite nice. Sitting at home can get a bit chilly sometimes while it's still winter, working at a desk. So yeah, just that little bit of extra warmth is really nice. So yeah, really pleased with that. And that I finished off a couple of weeks ago and made this one. Each one I think I did in 2 evenings. So they really are quite quick projects. So that's my first crochet project to show you. The next one is an update on a project that I'd started last time and showed you a bit of. So this is Attic 24's Canal boat blanket, and it's got quite a bit bigger than it was last time. I think last time I was up to about here, maybe somewhere about here. So I've added all of this. So it's grown, you know, it's about 3-4 times as big as it was before. So this is Attic 24's current crochet along. It's not in the Attic 24 colours, which are really bold, bright primary colours. Not all primary, but those sorts of bright colours that you get on the paintings on the side of canal boats, narrow boats. But I really like the stitch pattern, and so I decided to make it as a stash busting blanket. So this is all different makes of DK acrylic yarn. Now what I've done, I didn't actually count how many balls I had, how many different colours, but what I have done is marked on the edge, so with safety pins, each time I've used all the colours. So I think I explained last time, I've got 2 bags. I put all the balls in one bag, randomly choose one. When I've used it, I put it in the other bag. So once I've gone through all the colours once, then I muddle them up again and start again. So I've been marking off just out of interest to see. So that from this end to here, that is one go through all of the colours. I put in this white colour. I've got 2 balls of that in there, and I've also got 2 of this kind of misty grey, just to sort of balance things out a bit, and because I had those in my stash. But all the other colours, although there's some that are similar, I've got a couple of similar greens and greys and blues, I think, none of them are actually the same as each other, apart from the 2 balls of white and the 2 balls of misty grey. So last time I said I was being completely strict with myself, and when I choose a ball out of the bag, I'm just using it no matter what. There is a slight caveat to that now, which I've realised I need, which is because I've got 2 balls of white in the bag and 2 balls of grey, I'm not doing them, I haven't ever picked them up twice in a row, like white and then white again, or grey and then grey again. But if I did, I've decided that would be the one time when I'd put the ball back in the bag, because it would be literally exactly the same colour. But other than that, it is completely random. So that was the first go through the colours, and I've just finished the second go through the colours at the blue here and started again with the white. So I have got 2 lots of white, I haven't sewn in any ends yet. I've got 2 lots of white quite close together, but there's a colour between them, so that's fine. It didn't go back in the bag. So yeah, really enjoying it. This is the sort of suggested size, which I think is a single bed size. It's quite wide from there all the way across to there, so each row takes a little bit of time to do, but you know, it's a really easy pattern to learn, and so it's very relaxing, and I'm really enjoying working on this blanket. So yeah, I imagine that's going to grow quite quickly, because it's a really nice relaxing project to work on in the evenings. So the next 2 projects I've got to share with you are actually both knitting projects. This is odd for me, because I always say that I would never have more than 1 knitting project on the needles on the go at any one time, and it had been a little while. I think I finished a pair of socks in November, December time, and I hadn't done any knitting for a while. So I cast on a first knitting project, which is something I've been meaning to make for a while. I think I mentioned it last time. That's the second one I'm going to show you in a moment. But then I spotted on Instagram a really lovely new sock pattern, and I think I shared it in my stories and said, oh, isn't this lovely? And my friend Emma said, oh yeah, it is lovely, which it is, and that she fancied making it too, and said, do you want to make it along at the same time? So I broke my rule, and I've got 2 knitting projects on the go, although I've kind of switched. Now I've started these socks, I've kind of switched from the other one to the socks, and I think I might try and finish off the socks before I do any more on the other one I've started, which I'll show you in a minute, but we'll see. I might change it. So this pattern is called the Book Nook socks. This is how far I've got. I'm going to stretch it out a bit, because you can see it a little bit better when it's stretched out. There, like that, holding it up close. So you can see it's got these repeats of plain ribbing and then these cabled sections. So there's a cabled sort of stripe and a plain stripe and a cabled stripe and so on. This is my first time doing cables, which I was keen to try, but obviously something new, you can wonder what it's going to be like. But I can confirm that actually these ones at least are completely straightforward and nothing to worry about or learn. I mean, there's a little bit of fiddly and a little bit of juggling, putting the stitches onto the cable needle. You know, there's always, well, I always have that worry with knitting. With crochet, if you drop a stitch, it's not a problem, is it? You just pick it back up again and away you go. But with knitting, if you drop one, I don't really know how to fix it easily, or if there even is a straightforward way. So there's that sort of, it's a little bit scarier, isn't it, knitting? Because you could lose your work at any minute. But no, I haven't had any disasters so far with these, and I'm quite pleased with how they're knitting up. So yeah, as I said, they're the Book Nook, did I say it? They're the Book Nook socks, and they're from This Handmade Life. And she's actually, when you buy the pattern, she's got at least 3 or 4, might be 4, hang on, I'll have a look, variations on it. So they're all got obviously something in common. I'll put up some photos of, I think that she's shared photos of 2 of them with the pattern on Ravelry, but possibly not all of them. But yeah, so you can have, this is the cabled version. So you've got cables in every other bit of ribbing around. There's also a version, which is the one Emma's making at MSC Makes. Although she said she might do this version next, where you just have plain ribbing in each section and no cables. So, and then there's also a ribbed version where the ribs are not so wide, and so you have more ribs all the way around. And then there's a twisted rib, I don't know what you call it, but it involves twisted knitted stitches. So one thing I would say about this pattern is, obviously if you're an experienced knitter, you can, she just says in the pattern, this is the instructions for each type of ribbing, choose which one you want to do. I couldn't immediately see which instructions corresponded to which picture, and I'm not even sure that there was a picture for each type of ribbing. So I think she kind of assumes that people knew from the instructions what those different types of ribbing were and what they looked like. The one with the cables, I could tell there was only one cable in set of instructions in the pattern, so I knew which picture that was for, and that was the one I went to. But I'm not sure what all the other instructions would look like knitted up. But anyway, really pleased with how it's coming on. The yarn I'm using is some hand-dyed yarn, and I got in such a tangle. I don't have a yarn swift and ball winder thing, so, and I don't use hand-dyed yarn that often, so whenever I do, I just put it around my knees and wind it all up into a ball, and it's worked every time so far I've ever done it. It's worked. But with this one, I'd wound up maybe about 2/3 of it, and then it all just got in a massive tangle, so I had to lay it out on the floor and very painstakingly, careful not to pull it too tight, and wind up the rest of it. So this ball took me hours to wind up, really. So I was very, very pleased when that was done, and I could cast on. But yeah, it's hand-dyed yarn, and it is from Strictly Hand Dyed, and it is called Experimentalis Blue. There you go, on the label. Bought it a couple of years ago at I think it was at the Knitting and Stitching Show. I think that's what it was called, or the Stitch Show, something like that, at the Business Design Centre in London. It was one of the big ones that's sewing and knitting and crochet and yarn and all sorts of things. So those are the Book Nook socks. So this is my sort of active knitting project. But I have got, as I was saying, I have got another knitting project on the go as well. So the second knitting project I've got on the go, I started it before the socks, but it's been on hold since last Friday, I think. I started the socks on last Saturday, Yeah, and so since then I've switched. It's Friday today, I'm not sure if I said that. Yeah, so all this week I've only been working on the socks and not this, but this is the other project that I've started. So it's not very interesting so far. It's a rectangle. I think it was straight, and I've done one row with one increase at each end now here, so it's no longer quite a rectangle, but it is still pretty much, and it's just back and forth stockinette stitch. And this is, I think I mentioned it last time that I was going to start it. This is the Novice Slipover by Petite Knit. I'm making it with Drops Nepal yarn in medium grey mix, which is an Aran weight yarn, 100% wool, I think. Oh no, 65% wool and 35% alpaca. I've used it in quite a few other projects. I've knitted a jumper with it before, and I've made a blanket with it as well, the Winter Love blanket, in different colours. But it's really nice and soft and warm. And yeah, looking forward to finishing this, but I think I'm going to try and finish the socks first. Though having said that, that probably means I'm going to end up finishing this in May or June or something, when it's just dropped the yarn on the floor. In May or June when it's getting hot, which wouldn't be ideal, but at least I'll definitely have it done by the autumn. Anything else to say about this? Oh yeah, last Friday, so I've got a friend on Instagram, from her Instagram account is Off the Hook Creative, and we realised recently that we don't live that far from each other. There's probably about an hour's drive between us. So last Friday we decided we'd meet up for a coffee and meet each other. So we met somewhere that was about halfway between us. Neither of us had been there before, but we just looked online, and she found a really lovely cafe. It was packed. Obviously a really popular place. We got somewhere to sit, and it was just really nice, and we were there for a good few hours just chatting about crochet designing, drinking tea and coffee, had a piece of cake, and then we worked a bit on some projects, and I was trying to think what to take with me, because I wanted something, it had to be small, so you know, it wasn't a massive thing to take with me. So that kind of ruled out I'd considered taking the Canal boat blanket, but because of all the massive, it's quite big, and all the big balls of yarn, I thought, no, that's going to be a bit too much to have with me, even though the second criteria, it definitely fulfilled that one, because it had to be something that I didn't need to think too much about. Couldn't be the socks, because they involve a fair bit of thinking, and especially with the cabling, me not dropping the cable needle. I mean, now there's not too much thinking, but the stage I was at with them, I hadn't actually started them, had I? So yeah, that would have been way too much thinking to take a brand new project with me. I've got another project I'm finishing off, but again, that's a really big one. So this was sort of, and I didn't want to start something else just for that. So I felt like I should take crochet, because she's a crocheter and I'm mainly a crocheter, but actually I didn't really have any crochet projects suitable to take in the end, it turned out. So I took this with me, because it was literally stockinette stitch back and forth in rows, and I thought, I can't go wrong with that, that'll be fine. But the very first row I did, for some reason I picked it up and I purled the whole row, and it wasn't until I got to the end of the row that I realised I was supposed to have knitted it. So then I had to unknit the whole row again. So there's me thinking it was the most basic, simple project that I could do without too much thinking, and very first row I completely messed up. But after that I paid a bit more attention to which row I was on, and it went fine. But yeah, so that's the Novice Slipover, and it's probably on hold for a little bit while I work on the socks instead. So that's it really for today in terms of projects that I had to show you. Plans for the next few weeks, girls have got one more week at school. I've got 2 daughters, and then it's half term for a week, so I'll probably won't film again until after half term. So last time I showed you my gingerbread blanket that I was working on the crochet along with Lottie and Albert and Serdar yarn, and that is really close to being finished. I just had thousands of ends to weave in, and a final bit of detail to add to the middle section. I've made quite a bit of I'm not going to show it to you again because from your perspective it won't have changed at all, but I have made quite a bit of progress weaving in the ends. And once I started, I realised that I quite like, instead of just like a big massive ends, I quite like to think of when I'm doing the ends sort of in sections, or like a, you know, not just jump about and do random ones, but have a system or an order to it. And I kind of, once I'd worked out where I was going, it chunked up quite nicely, and I could think to myself, right, this session I'll finish this patch of ends here. So that's been quite good for me. That's helped me get on with sewing in the ends. And once it took a lot, I kept saying, oh, I'll do a few every day, I'll do a few every day, and I just didn't pick it up. But once I finally did, I realised I could get quite a lot done in each session, and so I was making quite quick progress. So I think I'll finish off the ends quite soon now I've started, and then I've just got the fun of adding those final bits of detail. So that should be finished very soon, which is good, because Serdar got in contact and asked if I'd like to receive their new crochet along, which has just started yesterday, which is the Hearts and Flowers Spring Blanket Crochet Along, and that's with my mind's gone blank, sweet Sharna, she's the designer, and obviously Serdar. So earlier this week they said they've sent out the yarn for that, which really lucky to receive all of the yarn to try. So when that arrives, I'm looking forward to having a go at that blanket too. I'll pop up a picture, I might have already done it now, showing you the blanket, and like, as you can see, it's got quite a retro feel to it. Loads of granny squares, granny stripes. Obviously, as the name suggests, it's full of hearts and flowers and bright spring colours. So yeah, looking forward to working on that and having a go at that. I think the first bit, I've seen some people have started already, and the very first bit is some really cute little granny squares with hearts in them. So you sort of change the colour of your stitches to make a heart pattern in the granny square. I think, having seen some people's posts, I think you cut the yarn each time you change colour. I think it results in quite a few ends per square, so I'm going to try this time to be really good and sew in my ends as I go. But yeah, I think that might arrive today. I had thought it might have been here in time for filming and I could show you the yarn, but I'll probably film a short reel showing the yarn, or a short for YouTube, and pop that up anyway, so you can have a look for next time. But yeah, that's another project I'm planning on working on. Then just continuing enjoying the Canal boat blanket and the socks, and yeah, I've got a secret project that I'm still working on, which is going to be ongoing for quite a long time. So that's also taking up some time, but I'll share that with you later in the year. And then yeah, I've got some new ideas and other things, but as I said, I'm trying to feel like a bit of a whip magnet at the moment. I just seem to be keep saying new things I want to start, and so I'm trying now. I've got to that point where I don't want to start anything else, because there's other new things I do want to start, but I want to try and clear some of these out the way before I start them, like new ideas for designs and things that I will be able to share with you. But yeah, I want to finish off what I've been working on first before I move forward with any of those. Just looking down at my notes, and I think that's about it for today. So I hope you've enjoyed the roundup of what I've been up to and what I'm hoping to work on over the next few weeks. As always, it's been really lovely chatting with you. It'd be lovely to hear from you if you'd like to leave a comment below, or like and subscribe if you'd like to make sure you don't miss any future videos. But otherwise, thanks for watching and have a really lovely week, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye. Hello, back again. As I was putting away the tripod, the postman has literally just been to the door, and the yarn that I was talking about for the new Sardar Hearts and Flowers crochet along has arrived. So I thought, while I'm all set up, I just put the tripod back up again. I'll do you a sort of live unboxing. I literally haven't opened this yet at all, so I thought I'd open it now and see what's inside. So here goes. It's quite well sealed. So it's in the signature red box. I'm imagining, yeah, that it's got the payout inside, and ooh, you get crochet along journal. I'm counting. Let's see what's inside here. This journal belongs to record. It is a precious record of the crochet alongs I've started / completed / planned to begin. This chronicle of the time, love and occasional bad words I crochet into each of these projects is of no value to anyone other than me. If found, please contact me by phone / email at thank you. So here's a bit of a picture of the thing. So what's a crochet along, how to join in with one, crochet stitch conversion chart, tension, blocking, caring for your blanket, so lots of information then. Helpful calendar and some dates to crochet for, like different festivals and holidays. 2 different Mother's Days. Mother's Day in the UK is the 30th of March this year, which coincides with Eid, and Mother's Day in the US is the 11th of May. Then here you can fill in all the details about the crochet along that you're working on, and make a shade card for all the different yarns so you can remember which is which, A to L. What you do each week, you can keep track of it. Week 2, week 3, week 4. So then it's got the same for each one, each crochet along. Top tips from the crochet along group, make along group. So then it seems to repeat that. So you could use this for quite a few crochet alongs. Make along group bingo. How many things you can tick off. Another crochet along, and then you can store ideas for patterns you might want to make. It's got pictures at the back of other Sardar crochet alongs you might want to do. Anyway, that's the journal. I spent probably too long talking about the journal, and you want to see the yarn, don't you? So I'll hold it up and hopefully it won't all fall out. So that's the top layer of yarn. Bright pinks and yellows and orange, really cheerful. 2 different shades of yellow actually. This one is called Sunshine, and then this one is Guilt. There's Oyster Pink, that's a really pretty pink, isn't it? I like that one. And Deep Rose, that's nice too. And then the orange Cantaloupe, that's a really sort of summery, cheerful colour, isn't it? I'm going to take off the top layer of balls, and then I'll show you what's underneath. So you get, as with all the Sardar cows, you get a little blanket to put on your blanket. What am I talking about? You get a label to put on your blanket when you're done. And then this is the bottom layer. These are lovely too. So you get 15 balls, I think, altogether. Yeah, there were 7 on the top, and then there's 8 in the bottom there. So I'll tell you the colours. So the pretty lilac one is Mauve Marl. Can't really see can you see the lilaciness of it? I think you might be able to. There's 2 balls of that. Then there's 1 ball of Zest, really zingy bright one. This is a brownie colour. It's actually called Rustic Pink. I think compared to the others it looks quite bit browner, but it is definitely got a pinkishness to it. This one is, oh, there's something else in there. This one is Biscuit, which is, yeah, a sort of slightly orangey cream, I think. And then there's 3 balls of, I'm guessing, yeah, this is cream, 3 balls of the cream. And then the other thing I just spotted in here is, oh, it's a shape card. So it just shows you, you can see them all there together, all the different colours to make the blanket. So I'm going to probably get cracking on this later today. I've already, you can get the pattern comes out every week. So as I said, it started yesterday. So the first instalment of the pattern came out yesterday, and it's free. You just sign up on the Sodal website and they email it to you each time it comes out, but you can get it at any time. So if you're not signed up in time, I think you can just go there and download it. You can definitely get it. Yeah, so I already downloaded and printed out the pattern because I knew this was coming for week 1. So I imagine I will start work on this later today. So there you go. And it really is goodbye this time. I'm not expecting anything else, any other deliveries to come and interrupt you. So yeah, I'll say goodbye again and have a lovely few weeks, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.